All right, so what we have here, two Echo 4910s. The one on the left is my personal saw. It is stock. It does have the muffler mod, you know, the one everybody can do where you pull the little pipe. It is broke in. I probably got 45, 50 tanks of gas through this thing now. It does have that A2D filter design, which is a much better filter than stock. I don't know how much on a dyno, but it is better. I do have the limiters pulled and it's tuned for here. Maybe even tuned a little lean possibly on the top, but seems to run good nevertheless. And then here we have a Charles Brisco ported 4910. It's the one that he blind ported recently that he did a series on. It dynoed at 5.77 horsepower. It's got the stock filter. You can see that muffler mod that screams Charles Brisco. He ran a tank of gas through it. I ran a tank of gas through it just now, cutting up in here. You can see I got a mess. It goes on forever and ever. I'm trimming this stuff up and logging and getting it into logs so that we can pull it out and mill it up. It's a mess. And gets us to be a loblolly pine. I've got some hickory and oak we'll run a test on later, but this is where I needed to be this afternoon, so this is why we're doing it here. I don't have a tripod, but I'm going to try my best to set this phone up to see this well. And we're going to saw through that piece of loblolly, and you can see it's actually a crotch that splits. This is where it turned into two pieces, so a little gnarlier than usual. It's not the hardest wood in the world, but the other thing going here, Charles sent the stock chain. Okay, so that is the stock semi-chisel Oregon chain that comes with these Echoes. I ran a tank of gas through it now, and I've made it spark a few times. So it isn't dull, but it's not out of the box sharp anymore. And on this Echo, my Echo, well, you can't see the little yellow. Let's see if we can, there it is. You know what that yellow means? That's a Stihl RS 23 chain. And I've got 2 tanks of gas through this. It is not a fresh chain. When I say 2 tanks of gas, I mean since the last sharpening. I've got about 7 or 8 tanks of gas on this chain total now. It has had 1 sharpening. And yesterday, I made some sparks fly on this one too. So, you know, this is a better chain. They both had some gas through them and some use, so they're kind of woods dull. A few sparks out of both of them. So we'll cut that and see how it goes. They're both warm. So I'm going to run my saw first. So that's the one with the A2D filter on it. All right, so we're going to run that first and see how it does. I'm going to try to set the camera here so they can see best as I can. Well, the elevation change is significant here. Let's see. Well, let me flip the, see if we can get it this way a little better. Maybe. Oh. Well, you'll be able to hear it go through the woods. You'll hear when it hits the bottom. So let's see what happens. So now for the Brisco ported. aggressive there. Alright, so let's see how that did. So we're in a test with my stock Echo 4910 against a Charles Brisco 4910 and some knotty pine, and it was the same time more or less, which surprised me. Now the Brisco one was running the stock semi-chisel chain that already had a tank of gas through it and flew some sparks. I've got Stihl RS23 on my saw. It's had a tank or so of gas through it, and I've also flew some sparks off of it. But it was definitely sharper. The odd thing was the Brisco one felt stronger in the hands, but it came out even. So we got some hickory nut here. You know, if you don't know what hickory nut is, that's hickory nut. So pretty hard. It gave my 500 a workout. It's been down a few weeks from Hurricane Helene, so I'm gonna put my stock saw through it, and then I'm gonna put the RS chain and bar on the Brisco one. We're gonna come back and hit this thing. So I'm going to, I don't have a tripod, so I'm going to try to put you in my pocket and see if that works out. No idea. Hopefully you can see. You'll definitely be able to hear when it starts cutting and when it stops cutting, right? So let's see how this goes. I'm climbing on the wood pile here, so I'm going to stick you in my pocket and hope for the best here. Yeah, it looks like you'll be able to see some stuff there. Let's find out. And again, I've got the 8. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and you can see all that sawdust. And the chips ain't terrible for a 325 chain, but you know, they ain't razor sharp, but plus you ain't going to pull long slivers out of that nonsense. That stuff is a challenge. Alright, I got off that wood pile and didn't die. So I'm going to pause you and switch the chain out real quick before it gets dark, and then we'll see what we'll see. Alright, we're back to get this stuff dry. I've got the Stihl RS chain on there, my old bar. Well, that felt like it was a lot better. We'll have to go to the clock and see, though. So, conclusion. Based on my quick calculations reviewing the video, that got through in 14. The Brisco saw, my saw got through in 21. So, you do the math on that, that's basically a 34% difference in time through the same wood on the same day with the same gas and the same bar and chain. Again, mine's not stock. I have the limiter out of the carburetor. I have a muffler mod, and I have the A2D design air filter, which, by the way, made a heck of a difference in this saw. My saw is broken in. This saw is not broken in. And I remember seeing Dino Joe do some testing on broken saws before and after, and it seemed like it was about a 5% gain once the saw broke in. So 5% that thing will get once it gets its tanks through, and it goes a long break-in. I don't know what that filter gives these saws, but I'm going to estimate quite a bit. I don't know, 5%, 10%, I'm not sure. But you know one of them filters is going on this saw, 100%. Now, for kicks and giggles, it's almost dark, but you know, right? Right? I mean, she's sitting there with an RS chain. You know, not tacky sharp, because I run a tank of gas or two through this sharpening, but you know, whatever. I think we're going to go find out what this thing can do. And that same piece of wood, what do you think? Let's see how that Brisco saw compares to my 500. Now, my 500, while I pump it up here, sorry for the camera work. It's the worst video of your life, but you get the point. I don't have a tripod, so I'm just winging it here. I have an Egan straight shot on here. I don't have any special air filter. I don't think those old filters, you know, really matter, if I'm being honest with you. That's debatable. You can debate it. I'm just telling you personal experience. I would run one on a motorcycle 100% if I'm racing in the desert, but otherwise I'll use a paper filter and clean it out after every extended use, personally. Yeah, whatever. Put a little oil around the bottom of the filter, whatever. So nothing fancy on the filter. So I'm gonna put you in my pocket, see if I can crank this bad boy. Be a lot of shaking around. I said, worst video of your life. Well, now I'm in basically the full dark, and I don't know if you can make it out. There's my 500i here on the trailer. And once I made a good cut, the second cut looked like about 11 seconds. So 11 seconds versus the Brisco at 14. Now, you know, we're 24-inch bar, 3/8 chain instead of a 20-inch bar on 325 chain. You know, so that matters a little. But, you know, pretty dang close. The 500 haters will love that. But, you know, you got to keep in mind, my chain is a work chain. I have sharpened this thing 500 times. I'm amazed at the longevity I have gotten out of the 500, or the RS chain, I'm sorry, the longevity I've gotten out of that saw, or the chain. I got teeth that are different lengths. I got the rakers more or less adjusted. Probably, if we're being honest, a little aggressive, because I tend to do that for some reason. But I have been cutting a lot of pine in this little clearing over here where I was messing earlier. And, you know, I like a low raker when I'm dealing with that softwood and this big saw. It's fun. So a little bit too aggressive for hickory nut, probably. So properly adjusted rakers probably would have saved it a second or two, I guess, but not much more. So yeah, I mean, 50cc saw is 10 pounds. You know, 10.6 pounds the power head. I don't know what it weighs with gas, but it still feels light as a feather. And you know, without a light bar, this bad boy and a full wrap handle, it feels pretty chunky in comparison. You know, pretty dang chunky. So, I don't know. I'm blown away. And I don't know if you've seen earlier, you can't see now, but I have a turd of a saw in there. MS311. What a waste of engineering that piece of crap is. It's as heavy as this 500 and cuts like a 40cc saw. Just terrible. But anyways, so in conclusion, the Brisco saw is bad to the bones. Yeah, bad to the bone. Alright, well, sorry for the terrible video work. Sorry for making you dizzy. Sorry for keeping you in the dark now for my conclusion. But, you know, you do these things when you can do these things. Alright, bye. I thought I'd give a better conclusion in the daylight, right? And, there's a 500. Brisco built the saw on the front. I wish he'd have put that sticker on there. He said something about a sticker. I said, sticker it up, son. But I don't see a Brisco built sticker on there. I'm disappointed, Charles. I'm disappointed in that. And then my saw, and then that turd MS311. I hate that saw with a passion. That stock Echo outcuts this stupid thing by 10 miles. So yeah, 34% gain over my saw and that hickory wood was within 3 seconds of this saw. I hadn't figured out the percent there, but pretty close, right? That's pretty close. That'd probably be, I don't know, single digit percents anyways. Again, that's 325 chain and that's 3/8 chain. And I don't know if you can see that chain real good, but maybe you can. You can see how little that tooth is. That is a well-used chain. And it's not tacky sharp at the moment. I've already run a tank or two through this sharpening. And yeah, I mean, it's all right. It's all right. It's not bad. I wouldn't sharpen it yet, but it ain't come right out. And I do hand sharpening. I don't have a grinder yet anyway, so, but I do a pretty mean hand sharpening, I think. And again, that RS chain's got several tanks of gas through it. God, at least 2 now. I don't think it's 3, so at least 2. I definitely made it hit some sparks. So it's not fresh either. It's still sharp, but it ain't fresh. It's wood dull, I would say, at this point. But I'm pretty impressed with the saw. I'm pretty pleased right now, other than I'm missing that sticker, Charles. I can't show it off if I don't have the sticker. But you can tell that muffler mod's definitely his work. And, you know, my man does the baddest 4910 out there. I don't know. He's got some secret sauce on these things. And this was his blind port that he did the video series on. And he said it was for sale. After he dynoed it, I was like, I have got to get my hands on one. I was lucky. I called first and was able to pick it up. So I'm tickled to death with being able to pick that thing up. And you know, what difference does that make in the real world? Well, you know what? It makes it more fun to run. And running power saws is a little bit of work. I enjoy running power saws, but you know, I'm going to enjoy running that a whole lot more. I'm going to tell you that right now. I was able to power through some wood today that would have caught or hung up the other saw a little. You know, and you try not to get your saw hung up, and I definitely ain't no bucking. I don't know if he hides his hang-ups in the wood or not, if he's mortal like the rest of us, but you know, I get a little, I know it's going to hang, and I just try to get that extra little bit every time, and then I get stuck, you know, just like most of us do. But he was able to power through some of those cuts where mine, I know, would not have. And so that's nice. And so that'll make cutting wood a little easier, right? And so that'll make it more enjoyable. And that's worth something. That's definitely worth something. I enjoy running that 500i other than the weight in comparison to this little Echo. And I really enjoy my stock Echo a lot. I think my stock Echo runs better than the stock Echoes I've seen run on the internet. I gotta be honest. And, you know, even the ones that's been, you know, modified and tuned and had the muffler mod, I swear mine runs better than that junk. You know, if mine ran like that, I don't know that I would be so happy with it. So I got, you know, maybe lucky in that regard, but it runs like a champion, in my opinion. But that runs, you know, a heck of a lot better. It sounds good too. Sounds amazing. I like a loud saw. I like loud stuff generally. Loud motorcycles. That thing's loud too, even with the stock can. And I like it. So, yeah, in conclusion, that's a bad saw. Thank you, Charles, for letting me buy it off of you. I appreciate it. He got it here quick. The packaging that Charles did on this saw was phenomenal. There was no chance this saw was getting damaged short of somebody running over it with a truck. He had boxes packed in there to take up the empty space so this thing couldn't rattle around. He had it done up right. Yeah, he had it done up right. It's in a fresh bar. The fresh bar and the semi-chisel chain is now on my saw because you know the Brisco saw is getting the RS treatment. You know that. But I'll run my old crappy bar on it for now since that's what was paired up. It was the quickest way to do that change. But yep. Anyways, I just shared my thoughts. Sorry for the shaky video. It's impromptu. I ain't trying to make money off this deal. YouTube, that is. Just sharing my experience and trying to give Charles the credit that he deserves for the way he can build one of these saws. And, you know, in general, I love a bunch of his saws. I love all his Echoes. It just seems to me when he really wants to build an Echo saw, no one can come close to building this or the 620 or the 7310. I mean, nobody touches him in that regard. I think he builds a monster 372. I enjoyed the heck out of that. His 500 that's for himself that he ported, I was real impressed with that thing. I remember seeing a lot of other 500s that he's done, but I love that thing. That's a fact. And his 346s run great. That guy is an excellent porter. And I mean, there's plenty of good ones out there, don't get me wrong, but I enjoy the way he builds a saw when he wants one to run. I enjoy the way it sounds. I enjoy the way it sounds in the wood. I've enjoyed having this one in my hand and the way it sounds in the wood. You know what I'm talking about. And it's not so much I can deal with bogging, it's just the way it recovers. And I don't know, it's an interesting thing. It is an interesting thing. So you've seen a Brisco saw in hickory wood. And it's relatively fresh. That came down in Helene, and I cut it up about 2 days after that. So that pile of wood's been sitting there since then. So since the, I don't know, the 29th or 30th of September, and we're October the 17th. So it's been down a couple of weeks. So it ain't, what, that stuff's hard, chattery. Also, you could see how it's pulling down the 500. So that's hardwood. All right, you've seen it in some hard wood, and you've seen it in some softwood. Now, what was interesting though in the softwood, and I'm gonna show that, there's no reason not to, with the semi-chisel chain and my saw having the RS chain, and again, they're both woods dull at this point. Both flew a little sparks. The time was pretty much the same. There wasn't really a difference. The Brisco saw felt more powerful in my hands, but at the end, when you got all the way cut through, it was about the same amount of time. So that RS chain's obviously friggin' ridiculous, right? In comparison to a semi-chisel Oregon. Obviously, if that saw can keep up with it, even in that wood. And that was a naughty, I call it a loblolly pine here. Maybe it's something else, I don't know. But I was in a naughty section of it, so it's not hard, but it ain't soft either. It was kind of a tie there. Of course, the Brisco saw was at a disadvantage on the chain, disadvantage on the air filter. So that was interesting, but same bar, same chain, same gas, same day, same wood, and hickory. The Brisco saw was definitely a huge improvement. All right, well, I appreciate your time, guys. Thanks.